Princess Alara stood in the grand hall of the Terran Palace, her gaze sweeping over the council members who gathered before her. The Terran Empire, ancient and powerful, had once ruled the stars with ease, but now their future was uncertain. The Terran people had long enjoyed peace and prosperity, but something had changed. Their population had begun to dwindle, and the next generation seemed weak. For years, their scientists had searched for a solution, but nothing had worked. There were fewer and fewer births, and those that were born did not grow strong. It was a quiet crisis, but one that threatened the very survival of the Terran race. The council members were silent, waiting for Alara to speak. She was their leader now, the weight of her family's legacy resting heavily on her shoulders. Her father, the former king, had passed away unexpectedly, and now it was up to her to save her people. The pressure was immense. "I have made a decision," Alara said, her voice calm but firm. "The Terran must adapt, or we will die." The council members exchanged worried glances. The words she spoke were not new to them. They had all seen the signs, but Alara's tone suggested she had a solution in mind. "What do you propose, Your Highness?" asked Elder Tharos, one of the oldest members of the council. Alara turned to face the room, her posture regal. "I will bring a human here, to the palace. He will serve as the father for my daughters." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the room. The Terran had always seen humans as primitive and weak. They were nothing like the mighty Terran who were tall, strong, and capable of feats that humans could not imagine. The idea of bringing a human into their bloodline seemed outrageous to many. "Princess, you cannot be serious," said Elder Saren, her voice full of doubt. "Humans are nothing like us. They are frail, short-lived, and unworthy of being part of our royal family. How can you expect us to accept such a decision?" Alara's eyes hardened. She had anticipated the objections. "I am serious," she said. "I have seen the prophecy. It is clear that the future of the Terran lies in a new bloodline. A bloodline that combines our strength with something we have lacked: new genetic material." The room fell silent as the council members processed her words. The prophecy was a legend that had been passed down through generations. It spoke of a time when the Terran people would face a great challenge, and only by accepting the blood of another species would they be able to survive. But most had dismissed it as myth until now. "Are you suggesting that a human male will strengthen our race?" asked Elder Varan, his voice tinged with skepticism. "This is absurd." Alara stepped forward, her voice growing more passionate. "You may call it absurd, but I believe in the prophecy. I have consulted with our best scientists, and they agree. A human male will provide the genetic diversity we need. Their blood, their genes, will give my daughters the strength they need to rule, to carry the Terran forward." The council was divided. Some members were still unconvinced, while others began to see the logic in Alara's words. The Terran were a proud people, but their pride could not save them from extinction. Alara's decision was bold, but perhaps it was the only way. "This is madness," Saren cried, standing up. "A human cannot be trusted. They are violent, unpredictable, and unworthy of such a responsibility." "I will choose carefully," Alara said, her voice unwavering. "I will select a human who is strong, capable, and above all loyal. He will not only be the father of my daughters, but also a symbol of the new future we must build." Elder Tharos spoke, his voice measured. "You will bring him here, to the palace, and make him part of our world. But what of your people? What will they say when they learn of this?" Alara hesitated. She had thought about that. The Terran people had always prided themselves on their purity. The idea of mixing their blood with humans would be controversial, to say the least. But the stakes were too high. "I will make them understand," Alara said. "I will not let fear or tradition stand in the way of what is necessary. The Terran must change, or we will perish." The council members were silent for a long moment, each lost in thought. Finally, Elder Varan spoke again. "If you are certain of this, Your Highness, then we will support you. But understand that this decision will not be an easy one. There will be those who oppose it." "I understand," Alara said, "but I will not back down." The future of the Terran rests in my hands, and I will do whatever it takes to save my people." With that, the meeting was adjourned. The council members filed out of the room. Leaving Alara alone with her thoughts, she knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that she had made the right decision. The human she would choose would be more than just a father for her daughters. He would be a key to the survival of her race. Princess Alara stood in front of a large, glowing map, her fingers hovering over the stars as she focused on the task at hand. The search for a human was more difficult than she had imagined. Earth, the planet where humans lived, was far from the Terran Empire, located on the outer edge of known space. It was a world that Alara knew little about, but she had studied its people, their history, and their ways. She glanced over at her closest advisor, Karen, who had been by her side for years. Karen was a loyal Terran, wise beyond his years, and his sharp mind had always helped Alara make the right decisions. He stood next to her, looking at the same map. "We have found several human candidates, Your Highness," Karen said, breaking the silence. "But none meet the requirements you set. None are strong enough or suitable to father your daughters." Alara turned to him, her expression serious. "We cannot afford to waste any more time. The future of the Terran is at stake. There must be someone." Karen nodded, but his brow furrowed in concern. "We are searching Earth's military and leadership databases. There is one man, Derek Carter, who stands out. He is a soldier, strong, brave, and known for his abilities in combat. His record is impressive." Alara's interest peaked. A soldier. She needed someone strong, someone who could protect her daughters and help build the future of her people. "Bring him to me," she ordered. It wasn't long before Derek was located. He was living in a small town on Earth, far from any major cities. His life was simple, and he was far from the center of the world's politics. Alara could tell that Derek was an ordinary man, but something about his profile caught her attention. His service record showed acts of incredible bravery, as well as a deep sense of duty. This was the kind of man Alara needed. Within hours, a team of Terran soldiers was dispatched to Earth. They moved quickly, using advanced technology to locate Derek and transport him back to the Terran Empire. Derek had no idea what was happening. One moment, he was standing in his small town, and the next, he was in a strange alien ship, hurtling through space. When Derek awoke, he found himself lying on a cold, metallic table. The first thing he noticed was the strange, alien surroundings. He could hear voices speaking in a language he didn't understand. His mind raced as he tried to make sense of what had happened. He tried to sit up, but his body felt heavy, as though he had been drugged or sedated. A group of figures stood around him, watching him intently. They weren't human. Their skin was smooth and pale, and they had large, piercing eyes that seemed to see straight through him. "Where am I?" Derek's voice was hoarse, and he struggled to stay calm. One of the figures stepped forward, her features regal and commanding. She was taller than any human he had ever seen, her presence overwhelming. She spoke to him in a language he didn't understand, but her tone was gentle. Derek blinked, still trying to process the situation. But then, the figure spoke again, this time in perfect English. "You are aboard the Terran ship, Derek Carter." The figure said, "I am Princess Alara, ruler of the Terran Empire. You have been brought here for an important purpose." Derek's mind spun. "Terran Empire? I don't understand. What do you want with me?" Alara met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "You are here because we need you. I have chosen you to father my daughters, to help secure the future of my people." Derek was speechless. His mind raced as he tried to make sense of what she was saying. The words didn't make sense. Father her daughters? He was just a soldier. He had no idea what kind of role he was supposed to play in this alien world. Alara noticed the confusion in his eyes. "I know this is difficult for you to understand, but we are facing a crisis. The Terran people are dying, and our future is uncertain. The only way to ensure our survival is by combining our bloodline with that of a human. Your genes hold the key to the strength we need." Derek tried to stand, but his legs were shaky. "You want me to, what, be a father to your Daughters? What does that even mean? Alara didn't flinch. She was used to the disbelief in the eyes of those she spoke to. Yes, you will help create the next generation of Terran rulers. Your strength, your blood, will be the foundation of a new future. A future where the Terran thrive once more. Derek took a deep breath, still in shock. And if I refuse, Alara's eyes hardened slightly. You have no choice. The decision has been made. The fate of my people rests on your shoulders. You will not be harmed, but you must accept your role. Derek stared at her, feeling the weight of her words. He had always fought for something bigger than himself, but this was something else entirely. He had no idea what kind of future this would lead to, but the idea of being part of saving an entire race was hard to ignore. I don't know if I can do this, he said, his voice low. You don't have to do it alone, Alara said, her voice softer now. You will be cared for, respected, and in time, you will understand the importance of this mission. Derek's heart was still racing, but he realized something. He could either accept this fate or fight against it. He didn't know if he could trust these aliens, but he knew that refusing would not change the circumstances. The fate of the Terran, and possibly the human race, was now tied to him. Alara motioned for the attendants to escort Derek to his quarters, where he would have time to rest and think. As he was led away, he couldn't help but wonder what his life would be like now. The world he had known was gone, and his future lay in the hands of a powerful alien princess. Derek's mind raced as he was escorted through the corridors of the Terran palace. His footsteps echoed in the silent halls, the walls adorned with strange symbols and glowing lights. The Terran were an advanced species, their technology far beyond anything he had ever seen on Earth. Yet, as advanced as they were, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was just a pawn in a much larger game. The attendants who guided him were silent, their eyes watching him with curiosity. They didn't seem hostile, but they were certainly not welcoming. Derek wondered if they were as uncertain about his role as he was. For all their power, the Terran were just as uncertain about their future as any species might be when faced with extinction. He couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. When they reached his quarters, Derek was given a simple, yet comfortable room. The walls were made of a soft, shimmering material, and the bed was large, with sheets that felt like smooth silk. There were no windows, only a glowing light panel in the ceiling. The room was silent, save for the hum of the ship's engines. For a moment, Derek just stood there, unsure of what to do next. He sat down on the edge of the bed, his mind still spinning. He had no idea what was expected of him, but the princess's words lingered in his mind. Father my daughters. It was a strange, foreign concept. He was just a soldier. He didn't know how to be a father, let alone to alien princesses. He had spent most of his life fighting wars, not raising children. After a few moments, there was a soft knock at the door. Derek stood up, his heart racing. When the door opened, Alara stepped inside, her presence as commanding as ever. She didn't enter fully, instead standing in the doorway, her eyes studying him carefully. I know this is difficult for you, she said softly. You are not alone in this, Derek. Derek nodded slowly, trying to make sense of her words. I don't understand. How can I be a part of your future? I'm just a soldier. I don't belong here. Alara stepped closer, her expression softer. Now, you belong here because you are the key to our survival. My daughters and I need your strength. Your humanity holds something we can no longer create on our own. You are not just a soldier. You are part of something bigger than yourself. Derek felt a strange pull toward her. There was something in her eyes, a kind of sadness, mixed with determination. She was a princess, the ruler of an entire empire, yet she seemed just as lost as he was. He wanted to argue, to ask more questions, but something in her voice stopped him. There was a sense of urgency, something he couldn't ignore. Alara took a deep breath and looked away for a moment, as if gathering her thoughts. There are others in the palace who do not agree with my decision. They see you as a threat, as an outsider who has no place among us. But I believe in you. I trust you. Derek frowned. So, I'm not just here to father your daughters, am I? There's more going on. Alara's eyes met his once more. Yes, you see, not everyone in my empire agrees with what I'm doing. There are those who would rather let our people die out than allow a human to become part of our bloodline. They believe that our survival should come from within, not by mixing with another species. Who are these people? Derek asked, now more curious than ever. They are powerful nobles and military leaders, people who hold great influence. Some of them would rather fight and die than accept what I've chosen. But I can't let that stop me. My daughters, and the future of the Terran, depend on this decision. Derek could sense the weight of her words. He knew what it was like to fight for a cause, to defend a future that seemed uncertain. But this was different. He wasn't just fighting for his own survival. He was being asked to shape the future of an entire race. I'll do whatever it takes to help, Derek said, his voice steady. But I can't do it alone. You said there are people here who don't agree with your decision. What happens if they try to stop me? Alara's gaze hardened. If they try, they will fail. But you must understand, Derek, there is more at stake here than you realize. The rebellion within the palace is not just about you. It's about power, control, and the future of the Terran. Some believe that my choice is weak, that bringing in a human to father our children will weaken our empire. They do not see the truth of the prophecy. Derek felt a chill run down his spine. The stakes were higher than he had imagined. This was more than just about being a father to Alara's daughters. It was about the very survival of the Terran people. Alara took a step closer, her voice soft but firm. You are part of this now, Derek. You may not understand everything yet, but you will. I will make sure you are prepared. You will learn what it means to be a part of the Terran future, and you will help me ensure that we have won. Derek nodded slowly, still processing the weight of her words. I'll help, Princess. I don't know how, but I will. Alara smiled, a small but genuine smile. Thank you. You will not regret this decision. As she turned to leave, Derek was left standing alone in the room, the weight of his new role settling in. He had no idea what the future held, but he knew that he had no choice but to see it through. The Terran were counting on him, and now, so was Alara. Derek had been on the Terran ship for several days now, adjusting to the strange new world he had entered. The palace was like nothing he had ever seen. Its vast halls, its smooth, shimmering walls, and the advanced technology that surrounded him. Despite the wonder of it all, he couldn't shake the feeling of being out of place. Alara had kept her word, giving him time to rest and process everything. But now, a new chapter was about to begin. It was time to meet her daughters, the heirs to the Terran throne. Derek had heard about them, but he had never seen them. He had no idea what to expect. Would they be like Alara? Would they be as tall and imposing as their mother? Or would they be different? The day had come, and Derek was led to a large, high-ceilinged room within the palace. The room was bright, with soft, glowing lights that made everything look ethereal. A large, polished table sat in the center of the room, and at the far end, a throne-like chair was positioned. The space felt both grand and welcoming. Derek's heart beat a little faster as he was escorted to the room. He had been preparing for this moment, but the reality of it was different. Meeting Alara's daughters wasn't just about fulfilling his role as their father. It was about shaping their future and his own. As the doors opened, Derek's eyes were immediately drawn to the two young figures standing before him. They were both tall, like their mother, with the same striking features that seemed both alien and regal. Their skin was smooth, almost translucent, and their eyes were a deep shade of violet that glowed softly in the light. They wore long robes that seemed to shimmer as they moved. The two princesses stood silently, their expressions calm and serious. They were unlike any human children Derek had ever met. There was no innocence in their eyes, no playfulness. They were focused, mature, as though they had lived many lifetimes in their short years. Derek Carter, Alara said, her voice filled with pride. These are my daughters, Lyra and Thara. The two princesses bowed their heads slightly. A gesture of respect. Derek returned the bow, though it felt strange. They were royalty, after all, and he was just a human soldier. What did they expect of him? How was he supposed to fit into their world? Lyra, the elder of the two, spoke first. "We have heard much about you, human. You are the one who will help our mother save the Terran, are you not?" Derek was surprised by the directness of her question. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind, and there was a certain authority in her voice. He nodded, still unsure of what to say. I don't know what to say," he admitted, feeling awkward. "I'm just here to do what I can." Thara, the younger princess, stepped forward. "You will do more than that," she said softly. "Our mother has made it clear that your role is important. You will help us grow strong. We will grow strong." Together, Derek studied them closely. Despite their youth, they carried themselves with the weight of their responsibility. There was no doubt in his mind that these girls had been raised with the expectation of greatness. They were more than just children. They were future leaders of the Terran Empire. Alara smiled at her daughters. They are wise beyond their years. They have been taught to lead, but they still have much to learn. And that is where you come in, Derek. Derek turned back to Alara, his mind racing. "I don't know if I can teach them anything. I'm not a king or a ruler. I'm just a soldier." Alara stepped closer, her voice gentle yet firm. "You have strength, Derek. You have courage. You have qualities that will help them learn to be more than just rulers. They will learn what it means to fight for their people, to protect them. And you will help them find their own strength, just as you have found yours." The princesses looked at him, their eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and expectation. Derek felt the weight of their gaze, and for the first time, he wondered if he was truly ready for what lay ahead. Could he help these young Terran princesses become the leaders they needed to be? Lyra stepped forward, her expression serious. "We will learn from you, Derek Carter. You will teach us how to fight, how to survive. We are not like our mother, who leads with wisdom. We lead with strength. We need you to show us how to survive the battles ahead." Derek nodded, though he wasn't sure what kind of battles Lyra meant. He was a soldier, used to fighting in wars. But this was different. The Terran were not like the enemies he had fought before. They were proud, advanced, and powerful. But the rebellion that Lara had spoken of was real, and Derek now understood that his role in this was more than just biological. He was meant to help shape the future of the Terran Empire. "I'll help," he said, his voice steady. "But you must understand, it won't be easy. I'll teach you what I know. But you will have to be strong in your own way. You have to find your own strength, just like I did." The two princesses exchanged a glance. Thara, the quieter of the two, nodded. "We will," she said, her voice soft but firm. Alara smiled, a proud look on her face. "Good. Now, it's time for you to get to work. We have much to do." Derek took a deep breath, his heart still racing. This was real now. He wasn't just here to be a father to the princesses. He was here to help them grow strong. The future of the Terran rested in their hands and in his dot as the princesses left the room. Alara turned to Derek. "You have done well so far, but this is just the beginning. There is still much to be done, and the Terran will need you more than ever." Derek nodded, his mind full of questions. But for now, he had a new role to play. And no matter how uncertain the future seemed, he would face it head-on. Derek had spent the next few weeks adjusting to his new life aboard the Terran ship, working closely with Princess Alara's daughters, Lyra and Thara. The training sessions were intense. Derek taught them everything he knew about combat, survival, and leadership. The princesses, though still young, were quick learners, absorbing every lesson he offered. It was clear they were determined to make their mother proud, to prove that they could lead their people into the future. Alara often watched from a distance, silently observing Derek's interactions with her daughters. She had hoped that this human would be able to provide the strength and guidance they needed, but now she saw the bond that was forming between Derek and her daughters. It was not just about teaching them how to fight. Derek was also teaching them about trust, about leadership that went beyond strength and power. One evening, after a long day of training, Derek found himself alone in the quiet quarter outside the training room. His mind was tired, and his body ached from the constant effort of adapting to his new role. As he walked toward his quarters, He was stopped by Karen, Alara's trusted advisor. Derek. We need to talk, Karen said, his voice urgent. Derek. Stop, his curiosity piqued. What's going on? There are whispers, Karen said, glancing around to make sure no one was nearby. There are those in the palace who do not agree with Alara's decision. They believe you are a threat to their power. Derek frowned. I'm just here to help. I'm not trying to take anyone's place. Karen nodded. But there was worry in his eyes. It's not just about you. It's about what you represent. Your presence here, the decision to bring a human into the Terran royal family, it has caused unrest among some of the nobility. They believe that the Terran should remain pure. That mixing with humans is a betrayal of their heritage. Derek's mind raced. He had always known that his role wouldn't be simple, but he hadn't expected to become the center of a political storm. What do they want to do? They want to stop this, Derek, Karen said. They're planning to confront Alara, to challenge her decision in the council. They're powerful, and they could cause trouble. Derek stood still for a moment, processing the gravity of the situation. What should we do? Karen gave him a grave look. You need to be prepared. They will not just attack you, they will try to attack everything Alara stands for. They will try to use you as a weapon against her, to weaken her position and take control. Derek's stomach twisted. He had never been involved in politics before. He was just a soldier, a man who followed orders and did what was necessary. But now, his role was more complicated. He wasn't just teaching the princesses how to survive. He was becoming part of a larger battle for control of an empire. Alara had told him that her people were divided, but hearing it from Karen made it feel more real. There were those who would do anything to stop the changes she had brought, even if it meant destroying everything they had worked for. The next day, Derek met with Alara in her private chambers. The atmosphere between them had shifted in the past few weeks. There was a mutual respect between them now, one that went beyond duty. Derek had come to admire Alara's strength and her unwavering determination to do what was right for her people. You've heard, haven't you? Alara asked, her voice low. Derek nodded. Karen told me. Some people in the palace want to challenge you. Alara's face hardened, her eyes narrowing. They've been whispering behind my back for days now. Some of them have already started gathering support. You can't let them do this, Alara, Derek said, his voice urgent. This is your empire. You can't let a group of nobles stop you from saving your people. Alara's gaze softened, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. I know that, Derek, but it's not just about me. It's about the future of the Terran. If I push too hard, if I make the wrong move, I could lose everything. My people could turn against me, and we would be back to the brink of extinction. Derek stepped forward, his voice firm. You don't have to do this alone. You have me, and you have your daughters. We'll stand with you. You don't have to let these rebels take away the future you've worked so hard for. Alara looked at him for a long moment before she spoke. I never expected it to be this hard, Derek. I thought I could save my people with strength, with power. But now, I realize it's more than that. It's about trust, about finding allies in the right places. You have us, Derek repeated. You have us. There was a long silence between them before Alara spoke again, her voice steady. You're right. I can't let fear rule my decisions. I've already made my choice, and I won't back down. I will fight for the future of my people, no matter the cost. Derek nodded. Then we'll fight with you? Alara smiled, a small but genuine smile. Thank you, Derek. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that it's not going to be easy. There are those who will try to take everything from us, but together, we can stand strong. In that moment, Derek knew that they were about to face something much bigger than they had ever imagined. The Terran Empire was on the brink of change, and he had become a part of that change. It was no longer just about survival, it was about rebuilding a future, one that would shape the galaxy for generations to come. The days that followed were tense. Derek found himself caught in a struggle he had never imagined. The rebellion within the Terran palace grew stronger, and the nobles who opposed Alara's decision were becoming more vocal. Every corner of the palace seemed to hum with whispers and rumors. Derek, once a soldier fighting for survival, now found himself fighting for the future of an entire species. Alara, however, remained resolute. Her decision had been made, and no matter the cost, she would see it through. Derek had learned to admire her strength. Even as the pressure mounted around her, she had not only embraced her responsibility to her people, but had also placed her trust in him, a human, someone she had only recently brought into her world. One evening, after a long day of training with Lyra and Thara, Derek found himself in the training hall, alone. He had been thinking a lot lately, not just about his role in this strange world, but about the bigger picture. Alara had put everything on the line to save her people, and now it was up to him to help her succeed. But would they succeed? The rebellion was growing stronger with each passing day. Derek had heard from Karen that more nobles were joining the cause, and they were ready to challenge Alara openly. If they succeeded, it could tear the Terran Empire apart. Derek knew that Alara's future and the future of her daughters was hanging in the balance. As he stood there, lost in thought, the door to the training hall opened, and Alara stepped inside. Her eyes were tired, but there was a fire in them that never seemed to fade. "We need to talk," Alara said, her voice steady. Derek turned to face her, his expression serious. "I know. Things are getting worse. The rebellion is gaining momentum." Alara nodded. "Yes, but I won't back down. I can't. If I do, the Terran will be lost. They'll never accept anything less than the future we've worked for." Derek stepped forward, his voice calm but filled with determination. "You've already done so much, Alara. You've brought the hope of a new future to your people. You just need to hold on. We need to fight, together." Alara smiled slightly. "It's not that simple. I know you want to fight for us, Derek, but you don't understand the full extent of what's at stake. The Terran have always believed in their purity and their strength. Some of them see me and my decision as a betrayal. They won't stop until they've destroyed everything I've built." Derek's heart sank. He had heard the stories of how the Terran had once ruled the galaxy, how their empire had been a symbol of power and strength. But that was before the crisis. Now, they were on the brink of collapse, and Alara's leadership was all that stood between her people and extinction. "What do we do?" Derek asked, his voice soft. "How do we fight back?" Alara paused, her eyes meeting his. "We stand together. We have to show the Terran that change is not a weakness, it's the only way to survive. I will not let them take away the future we've fought for." Derek could see the fire in her eyes, and he knew that she would do whatever it took to protect her people. But she couldn't do it alone. "We'll need support," Derek said. "The people need to see that you're doing what's best for them. They need to know that this is the only way." Alara nodded slowly. "I agree. But we have to do more than just talk. We need to show them that the new bloodline, the human bloodline, will make us stronger. I have already sent word to the council. Tomorrow, we will present the evidence of our success. We will show them that my daughters, with the strength of the human genes, are the future of the Terran." Derek felt a rush of determination. This was it. This was their chance to turn the tide. But the stakes were higher than ever. If they failed, everything would be lost. The next day, the council convened in the grand hall of the palace. Alara stood at the front, with Derek beside her. Lyra and Thara, her daughters, were there as well, standing tall and proud. The tension in the room was palpable. The nobles and military leaders of the Terran gathered, their eyes fixed on the royal family. Alara stepped forward, her voice calm and commanding. "I have called you all here today to show you the future of our people. You have all heard the whispers, the doubts. You have all questioned my decision to bring a human into our bloodline. But I stand before you today to show you that this decision was not just mine, it was the only choice." She motioned for Lyra and Thara to step forward. The two princesses did, their faces serious but determined. "These are my daughters," Alara continued. "They are not just the heirs to the Terran throne, they are the future of our species, and they carry within them the strength of both the Terran and the human bloodline." The room was silent as Alara turned to Derek. "This man, Derek Carter, has played a vital role in our success. His strength, his courage, and his loyalty have made him a key part of our future. It is because of him that my daughters will lead us to a new era of strength and unity." For a moment, there was only silence. The council members exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of skepticism and curiosity. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the older nobles, a man named Zather, stood up. "I have seen the results for myself," he said, his voice gruff. "The princesses are stronger, more capable than any of us could have imagined. Perhaps there is something to this. Perhaps this human bloodline is the key to our survival." Derek's heart raced. Could this be the turning point they had been waiting for? The room seemed to hold its breath as more council members spoke. One by one, they expressed their support for Alara's decision. Some reluctantly, others with eagerness. The rebellion that had once seemed so powerful was starting to crumble before their eyes. Alara turned to Derek, a look of gratitude in her eyes. "We have won. The Terran will accept the future we have chosen." But even as victory seemed within reach, Derek knew that the battle was far from over. The future of the Terran was still uncertain. There would be more challenges ahead, more people to convince, more battles to fight. But for now, they had won, and that was enough.